Tonight on KGW News, 3 women murdered and more than a year without answers.
Their deaths have caused fear and anxiety across our area.
As police finally name the suspected killer who could be tied to even more deaths. And a dangerous street takeover caught on camera, with investigators looking for the driver after they hit 3 spectators and kept going. Plus, thieves steal much more than a local veteran's mobility.
It meant so much to me because of what it brings me.
The search for a hand-built bike he says was helping him heal. And later,
it's just exciting to be part of the reawakening of Portland.
Crushed by COVID and financial struggles, a local community theater welcomes artists back to the stage. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin tonight with an indictment in a series of suspicious deaths across the Portland area, with a man now charged with murdering 3 women. Investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi has the latest.
Timing was critical. The indictment comes just weeks before Calhoun was scheduled to be released from prison, where he's serving time on unrelated charges. Jesse Calhoun, the man reportedly linked to several women who went missing and turned up dead across the Portland area last year, has been indicted. Calhoun is charged with murder and abuse of a corpse in 3 of the killings, and police say they're still investigating.
Just know that we're not done.
The bodies of Charity Perry, Bridget Webster, and Joanna Speaks were all found in wooded or secluded areas around Portland between February and May of last year. Police and prosecutors wouldn't say how they linked Calhoun to the string of crimes or how he knew the women. Charity Perry's mother, Diana Allen, credits detectives.
Even though they wouldn't give me the answers, I knew they had answers because they wouldn't give them to me.
Prosecutors emphasize they continue to investigate the deaths of 2 other women who may also be linked to Calhoun.
We are still very much investigating the deaths of Kristen Smith and Ashley Riel.
Kristen Smith's mother, Melissa, remains hopeful and patient.
We just keep going. We keep waiting. We keep praying and stay hopeful.
The indictment comes just weeks before Calhoun was scheduled to be released from prison on charges unrelated to the women's deaths. The news also comes just days before an election involving the Multnomah County DA.
The election had nothing to do with why we chose to do it at the time we did or the speed at which the investigation went forward.
Last year, Calhoun claimed he'd been wrongly accused. Quote, "I'm no killer," Calhoun wrote in a series of messages to KGW. Calhoun is expected to be transported from Snake River Correctional Institution in Eastern Oregon to Multnomah County to be arraigned. So far, no date has been set. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
And stay with KGW for continuing coverage. We have much more about this case online, including a story about all 3 victims and the full news conference with some of the mothers. That's up for you now at KGW.com. Developing tonight, Portland police have just released surveillance video of a street racing sideshow where 3 spectators were hit. A warning, the images you're about to see are disturbing, though investigators say they hope by grabbing attention they help catch the person who was behind the wheel. The suspect's car, police say, is this black Ford Mustang with a yellow front end. Hundreds of people and dozens of cars were at the street takeover on April 14th near Moda Center around 3 in the morning. The video shows the car doing donuts, then it clips someone in the crowd. So quickly they are thrown out of vision and knocked to the ground. The vehicle keeps going, the driver apparently oblivious, as people begin to rush to help the person who was hit. 1 lap later, the car makes contact again, this time hitting 2 more people. The driver takes off. Police say they weren't able to respond because the crowd was too large and too hostile. Video later shows people carrying one of the victims to a private car. All appear to have survived, though it's not clear how badly anyone was hurt because none of the victims reported what happened. Here's a closer look at the suspect vehicle again. Police are asking anyone who was injured or who witnessed the dangerous driving to come forward. Just shows how real those risks are. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, Washington County Sheriff's deputies are looking for more victims of a man they say exposed and touched himself inside the library in Cornelius. Authorities say this was in an area that included children. 30-year-old Aaron Leap has been arrested and faces several charges, including public indecency. In Eugene, pro-Palestinian protesters at the University of Oregon have moved their encampment from the Memorial Quad that's between the library and business school to directly in front of the administration building. Several protesters have also chained themselves to the columns of that building, Johnson Hall, while others sit on the steps singing and chanting. This protest began 18 days ago, and protest leaders say they have not met with school officials since May 9th. And Multnomah County health officials are notifying more than 1,000 patients that their health information may have been accessed in a data breach. This affects clients of the county health center and involves sensitive data like names, medical records, numbers, dates of birth, and Medicaid IDs. Social security numbers and driver's licenses are not affected. At this point, County Health said there is no evidence the information has been misused. They say they are sending out letters to those affected. Well, new tonight, a Marine Corps veteran is asking for help after his custom mountain bike was stolen while he was getting treated for PTSD. As Catherine Cook shows us, it turns out that bike was a key part of his recovery.
There was a lock here, and that was broken.
This is the spot where Vancouver police say someone stole a big piece of Javier Romo.
Disbelief and disappointment.
A custom-made titanium frame mountain bike. Javier built it himself.
I put everything into that bike because it was my baby.
To understand why, you need to know where we are. The VA Recovery Center in Vancouver. Javier is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. He served at the onset of the Iraq War.
I was on the berm as the Scud attacks were coming in.
When he left the Marines after 9 years of service, Javier says the person he was before combat was gone.
I was struggling quite a bit with post-traumatic stress, and then later with substance abuse, including alcohol abuse.
A big part of Javier's therapy came from the outdoors, physical activity in nature, especially mountain biking.
The mountain bike immediately took me out of this thing and gave me moments where I was present and where I didn't have to suffer being in here. So that's why that bike means so much to me, and that's why so much went into that build.
Javier lives in Bend now. When he came to Vancouver back in March, it was for a 2-month treatment program. He brought his bike because he trusted it would be safe here.
There was a period where I would have been angry, but I think it was disappointing more because I would have been happier to donate that bike. I would have been happy to donate it so that the person that's riding it can know what that bike meant and what that bike brought to me. And in my hopes that it would bring the same to someone else, but it's not going to do that now.
Javier hopes people who know bikes will recognize the red Chris King components on his, or the Fox 36 fork, or the titanium frame and wheels. He also started a GoFundMe. He says he'd be grateful for donations, either to help him afford a new bike or parts to rebuild one.
If I could get some shop time somewhere and some tubes and build another frame and get into similar components that bike had, I would love that.
In the meantime, Javier remains focused on rebuilding his life. Vancouver police is aware of the case. Anyone with information on what happened to the bike or where it is can reach out to them. We've also posted a link to Javier's GoFundMe on our website, kgw.com. David.
Yeah, we thank him for his service and we hope someone returns his bike. Thank you, Catherine. The USDA is now requiring all dairy cows to be tested for bird flu before they cross state lines. Today, we got to look at the only lab in Oregon that does that kind of testing. It's at Oregon State University, and so far, all of the milk samples they have tested are negative for avian flu.
Pasteurization inactivates the virus, and so, to me, I think that they need to feel very confident in picking up ice cream or a gallon of milk.
Dr. Kurt Williams told us the virus will continue to spread and it could adapt, though so far it is not dangerous for humans. Cases of bird flu have been detected in cows in 9 states, but not in Oregon or Washington.